So welcome to Health Programming at your library. My name is Jessie Vandervolgen, and I am the Associate Director of the Network of the National Library of Medicine Training Office, and joining you from Salt Lake City, Utah. So glad to be joining you today with a class. So when you think about health programming for your outreach, for your community, which picture most closely resembles how you feel? You can put your response in the chat, and if you're up for it, add a little note on why. And for just a quick description, A is hands planting seeds in the dirt, B is a raft in white water, C is an overview of a large maze, and D is a ballet dancer. Yeah, I see a bunch of A's. Yeah, planting seeds in the dirt. And C, the maze. A, sometimes C. D, dancing, a maze of possibility. Planting a seed that will take time to grow. Christy, literally A. I have started 7 community gardens. I love it. Anyone else want to add a note on why you maybe chose what you did? Okay. C and A both take time to root. Yeah, thank you, Amy. Yeah, I think it's whitewater sometimes. Like you can prepare really well for a whitewater trip, but once you get going down the river, like you're not really sure what's out there, but you're gonna get through that river and guide it as much as possible. D, I am dancing and not sure what to do, but I'm doing it with enthusiasm. I like that. David, amazed because there's so much to navigate paperwork. Yeah. Um, so we're hoping that today we're going to sort of help you no matter where you're starting at. We're going to talk about conducting health outreach programs for libraries and some other organizations. We'll create an initial plan for the development and implementation for health programming in your library with examples from big to small. Identify some potential partnerships for health programming and outreach in your library because partners make excellent additions to programming. And then identify some resources from the National Library of Medicine and other agencies that can be used to support the implementation of health programming. So I will say this is not a full how-to on health programming. We're going to generate a lot of ideas and a few places to get started. As a little bit of background, I want to introduce the network of the National Library of Medicine, also known as NNLM, for anyone who might not be familiar with us. It's part of the National Library of Medicine, which is within the National Institutes of Health. We are the education and outreach arm of the National Library of Medicine and work regionally, getting to know communities on the ground and helping those communities serve the people that they know best. But we are also present across the entire country and work to advance the health and well-being of everyone through access and understanding how to use health information. And that can be through providing funding to organizations so that they can work with their communities, um, and through a wide range of training and education opportunities. So, like today. Um, these are those 2 links. If you've joined us recently, you have a link to the handout with activities to follow along, and then the slides for your later reference. So let's start with some input from you. In the spectrum of ways to incorporate health outreach and programming is very wide. You might have a library partnering with a local nonprofit to provide free menstrual products. Or it can be an instructional session for seniors about how to find reliable health information online, or even updating signage about health content in the library. So if you have seen anything lately that caught your eye, that you've done or heard about, tell us in the chat. What have you seen lately in the area of health programming and outreach? Mental health first aid, partner with our county health department to provide products to Outflow. Great, yeah, and CPR and Narcan training. Thanks, Charlene. Free menstrual products in the academic library, Narcan, breastfeeding literature by the Breastfeeding Pod, community health talk series, mental health teledoc, coping after COVID, blood pressure cuffs, free health screenings, promote free health related materials. I can't keep up with you all now. Yeah, they did an event for vaccines for MMR, menstrual products, cheap healthy meals, and community gardens. Yeah, lots of ideas. Even promoting just the print collections that you already have. Inviting in the health department. Partnerships are so valuable. I I love this. You're all taking down notes, right? There's already a wealth of ideas here. Memory kits, mental health education, comfort cabinets, teen mindfulness. Gosh, no wonder these are catching your eye. So why might libraries conduct health outreach? If you're not already started in it, libraries are often community hubs with public libraries across the country receiving up to 4 million visits a day. Many also consider libraries to be trusted providers of information and community resources, including health information. It's a little bit older now, but back in 2016, the Pew Research Center did a study that reported that 38% of people using libraries did so to seek out health information. Libraries also have existing partnerships and community resources, and they're very in tune with the community. So it's a way to take advantage of things that you already have in the library, partnerships that you already have. Um, Also, today's information environment is complex. We have a greater responsibility to communicate the resources and expertise that exist in our communities, both within and outside of the libraries. Libraries, community centers, faith-based organizations are often heavily utilized when someone has a question about their life. They're often the starting points for information. And so providing current and timely health information helps enhance the image and the visibility of the library organization in the community. And offering health programming helps keep the library sort of top of mind and relevant to its users. Health events and resources also increase your visibility and inevitably show your overall value to community members and leaders. So there's a benefit too to the library to offering health programming and outreach. Um, we're going to share a bunch of ideas today. We hope you're going to get excited about some resources, find some inspiration, but not feel overwhelmed or compelled to do all the things. So what we're sharing today are ideas, not best practices, and you know your community and your library best, as well as your capacity. Many of you and your colleagues are experiencing challenges in terms of staff capacity, funding, and social and political pressures. So all of these factors play into what you can and choose to offer in your setting. So just keep that in mind. If health outreach is new to you in your library or organization, one of the best ways to start is by locating information on your community's health needs. And this is actually the first competency of the Consumer Health Information Specialization from the Medical Library Association. Learning about the demographics, the health issues, the strengths and challenges of your area can help you better meet the needs of your community. And programs that align with the needs of the community are more likely to really impact the community. And as one more point, grant funders like NNLM often require justification for funded program activities. So making sure that your projects are in alignment with your community can be helpful in finding funding and support. Um, One of the things that we know is that librarians and community advocates are really in tune with the needs of of your communities. But step one is knowing where to find some quality statistics to back up what you might already observe or feel about your community. And so I'm going to give an overview of 3 resources that you can use to learn more about your community. We'll look briefly at all 3, and then I'm going to give you some time to explore the one that is most interesting to you. So first up is State Health Facts, which provides free, up-to-date, easy-to-use health data for all 50 states, the District of Columbia, counties, territories, and other geographies. The data on the site come from a wide variety of both public and private sources, including the Kaiser Family Foundation reports, public websites, government surveys, and other private organizations. This resource, as you might guess, focuses on providing information at the state level. So if you are interested in offering a program on diabetes, for example, you can find information on health status indicators for your state on diabetes, such as the percentage of adults who have been told by a doctor that they have diabetes in your state. The second resource is the County Health Rankings and Roadmaps, a service from the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. This is an excellent place to start looking for information about health issues in your community. And as you might guess, this website focuses on health data at the county level. You can choose your state and county and then scan through the data to get a sense of the information provided. I'll point out a few other features here. I pulled up Salt Lake City, Utah because that's where I am. And I'm gonna just turn on my pointer briefly here. So not that one. All right, we'll try this again. Here we go. Okay, so in the upper right, this graphic tells me how my county fares compared to the rest of Utah, so the state average, and the rest of the United States, the national average. And then below, I've selected a particular health outcome, in this case, premature death. You'll see a definition of what that means. What is premature death? Followed by how recent the data is. You'll also notice this itty-bitty graph icon where you can further explore trends in the metric. And some of the metrics you can disaggregate by race and ethnicity to examine for health disparities. All right. Now here's one more snapshot of the county rankings and roadmaps. Near the top of the table, there is a checkbox to show areas to explore. And clicking on that box will highlight any red flag areas in the county that are potential challenges to health. Make a note of these and other areas that stand out to you that might give you some information of where programming might be most needed. I'll also note that you can show areas of strength. Sometimes it's useful to point out things that your county is already doing well. So if you need to justify the purchase of materials for a program on a given topic, for library boards, trustees, etc., you can use the county health rankings and roadmaps to locate information on your county and compare to other counties in the state that there is an identified need to raise awareness on the topic. And finally here is narrowing down a bit more is the third and final resource, the City Health Dashboard. And this is for the nation's 500 largest cities and shows where they stand on 36 key measures of health and factors affecting health across 5 areas, including health behaviors, social and economic factors, the physical environment, health outcomes, and clinical care. In this case, I've pulled up the air pollution metric, and this bar shows you how Los Angeles compares to other counties in the dashboard, other cities in the dashboard. And it notes that a lower value is a better outcome. I think this is helpful because sometimes it's not always apparent whether you want a lower or higher metric on some of these. And then it will include a green check mark if the value for the selected city is better than the average. But also notice that while Los Angeles as a whole, has only slightly worse air pollution than other cities in the dashboard. If you look at the map, you can see that certain census tracts are subject to notably higher air pollution, so that it's not uniform across the city or the county. Okay. And here's one more example of the city health dashboard. These dashboards are so rich. You can look at a city overview to see how the city is doing compared with others in the dashboard, and then zoom in on other particular aspects to get more detailed geographic or demographic information. So this one I have Charleston, South Carolina, home of our Region 2 office. And overall, Charleston has reported lower incidence of high blood pressure than other cities in the dashboard. But the map again allows us to look a little more closely and see where in the community there might be need for improving that. You, you could spend a long time looking through these here. So I'm going to give you time to do just that. Let's move ahead to our first activity. I would like you to pick one of these resources that we just mentioned and explore and learn about your area for a few minutes. I'm going to invite you to come back and share which one you used and what you learned or confirmed that might inform the health programming or outreach that you would offer. So I'm going to be quiet for about 5 minutes. All of the links are on the handout for today, which Rebecca relinked here, and I'm going to give time and quiet, so don't be alarmed if you don't hear anything. I'll be back with you in just a few minutes. Okay, I'm gonna pull you back out of these fun resources and invite you to share in the chat with everyone which resource you used and something that you learned or confirmed about your area that might be a start of an idea for programming. And I know it will take a while to type those in, so feel free to take your time. Um, and so, what did you learn about the health needs in your area? Yeah, county level. Childhood poverty. No, Cresco, were you the one that had a food pantry? I was trying to remember. I'm not going to be able to keep track. Okay. County level. Functional disability is almost 25%. County health rankings and roadmaps. Physical activity um, is above average. Yeah. Um, Tammy, was that a surprise? Sorry, Tamika, I'm sorry. It cut off your name in my chat box. Was that a surprise that you were above average? Confirmed my thoughts that we and the rest of the Mississippi lag behind in nearly every area. You could take your pick of things to work on. Above average, preventable hospital stays. Oh, interesting. Oh, I did also learn that the county health rankings and roadmaps, they have a new data release coming out. I I want to say it's today, but will include access to libraries in the data. Severe housing problems, no surprises with any of these, Meg. Yeah, okay. Number of physicians available to your community. Yeah. Um, wow. Okay. Thank you, Mahogany. Gosh, isn't it? It's so interesting what you can find out. County health rankings, only 48% of mammography screenings. Oh, library access shows now. Thank you, Lori. I hadn't checked it today. Yeah, that's an interesting piece to factor in here. Okay, I'm excited to explore this today. Um, okay, all right. Yeah, I know if you're like me, we could spend a long time looking through data about our county because it's really fascinating, and especially sort of digging into trends over time and different pockets. Yeah. Okay. So once you've had a chance to sort of review some of your community health needs, um, you can identify your intended or primary audience and then consider the type of outreach or programming that is appropriate for this audience. So keep in mind that health outreach doesn't mean that you have to provide a 1-hour program with a speaker and activities, right? We're thinking about the spectrum of engagement, what's manageable and meaningful for your primary audience's needs. And it might be highlighting particular information resources. It might be offering some training or some ongoing programming. And then considering the space and the staff that you have available to sort of narrow in to what it is that you want. There are a wide variety of programs you can offer to address the health needs of your community, and you all shared so many of them at the beginning. But I'm going to sort of share a couple categories of activities that might help prime some of your thinking. So some areas that you might look at, some categories would be food access, food pantries, cooking programming, gardening activities. In the area of movement, hosting a physical activity, walking stories, yoga, including chair yoga or injury prevention, or as someone mentioned, ergonomics. Access to care, partnering for vaccination clinics, diabetes education, smoking cessation, support groups, chronic disease management, or work to know your numbers. Social work. Some libraries have had the chance to work with social workers to have them have hours in the library. Technology programming might be telehealth services or digital literacy projects. For children and families, we might look at sensory story time, music, movement, veterinary, vaccination clinics, but also pet first aid or pet loss and grief sessions. And then promoting information and reference services and collections, possibly curating a list of key or sensitive topics. And so the examples on this slide are a couple specifics. So Carnegie Library of Pittsburgh offers bookmarks, like the one you see on the right here, to help teens find materials on sensitive topics without having to ask a library staff member. You'll see a picture of the Penn Hills Library Food Pantry. There's a teen hygiene health center at the Rockwood Makerspace in Multnomah County, Oregon. And the Central New York Library Resources Council had the Healthy Pet Project, which included workshops on how to prepare for disasters with your pet. Hopefully those ideas are fueling some ideas of your own. As you're evaluating those ideas, a couple considerations. Make sure that it aligns with the unique needs of your community. Gather the evidence that we talked about that administrators, community leaders, and funders will expect to see or to hear about. Keep in mind that big, bold projects are fun, but simple ideas and services may be more sustainable and a good place to start. And when you're evaluating an idea, consider in your mind, is it easy to explain to others? And this may actually really help you gain the support that you need. Couple cautions. I think it's good to avoid competitions, especially those focused on weight loss. Do some research on who you're inviting if you're bringing people into the library. There are many companies that sell supplements or diet plans or unproven cures that may be interested in finding space or an audience in the library. I'll also mention a little background. Registered dietitians and nutritionists are not the same thing. Anyone can call themselves a nutritionist. A registered or licensed dietitian is a recognized medical professional who has passed a national exam. So just keep that in mind. And when working with new partners, authors, speakers, make sure to consider a spectrum of opinions and care. Okay, a couple more inspiring ideas. This is a recent Newsweek article that featured how libraries are becoming health hubs, from food to fitness classes. Menominee Falls Public Library partnered with the American Heart Association to have blood pressure screenings. So for those of you who found that maybe your area has higher blood pressure than other areas of the county or state, maybe that's an idea for you. And then I put in here the Cobb County, Georgia events in December 2024. There's so many great partnerships in here as an example. You have yoga, vaccines, and Medicare counseling. Okay, so if these stories don't have your wheels turning yet, I have some more idea sources for you. I'm going to briefly describe these websites, and because everyone's going to be interested in different things, I'm going to again give you time to explore the ones that are most relevant to you. So Let's Move in Libraries has program ideas, resources, and examples of library programming primarily focused around movement and active living. It includes advice for where to begin, creating accessible programming, and some information on liability. The ALA Programming Librarian, you can browse and search library programming ideas. You can do a search by budget, by age group. You can search for health and get tips on planning, partners, marketing, budgeting, and other advice for carrying out the program. It is a really broad resource. Web Junction has Health Happens in Library. You'll want to check out the resources list. This is less a list of ideas and more dedicated resources for you to really develop your health programming. It includes webinars, communication ideas, detailed examples of projects. It is a really deep resource and very much worth exploring to make your health programming a lighter lift for you. It includes resources on things like sustainability, helping your library be autism ready, creating a garden program or a community pantry, and much more. The Rural Health Literacy Toolkit is a program clearinghouse specifically dedicated to rural libraries with a lot of the activities focused on health literacy. Ready.gov includes emergency preparedness trainings and programs with social media toolkits that you can take and use in your community. Jayberry Storytime focuses on food, movement for storytime with children. And then we have our NNLM past funded projects and current funded projects that describe the primary population and the health project that was undertaken. And then finally, we have the National Health Observances, toolkits and resources from the Office of Disease Prevention and Health Promotion. And these fall more in the raising awareness category than extensive outreach. Okay, so time for activity two. These are again linked in your guide for today. Not everyone's going to be interested in the same type of programming, so I'm going to again give you about 4 to 5 minutes to explore one or two of these resources that are appealing to you. If you don't already have a project in mind, find an idea that you can sort of run with for our third activity today. And then I'll invite you to sort of share back, um, very similar to what Dana has here is like, okay, only 45% of my county has exercise opportunities. So maybe there's some sort of partnership with a mobile exercise program. Maybe that's good. So take a couple minutes to explore. Don't be alarmed by the silence, and I'll invite you to share back ideas that you think would connect with your community's needs. Hey, I'm turning on the audio again, but gonna give you a few minutes to share back um, which resource you used or what you found that you think would maybe connect with your community's needs. Let's move in libraries. Thanks, Amy. Anything in particular you saw in there that was interesting? I just discovered a story walk by one of our public libraries that I thought was so fun. Healthy living in libraries, family activities. Let's move chair exercise, a demographic that would appreciate that. National health observances. Yeah, Darlene, thank you for pointing that out. Raising awareness about important health topics. Sometimes that's all we have the capacity for, and I like that they have good toolkits in there. Oh yeah, privacy booth for private spaces. David, I think you're going to enjoy one of the videos I'm going to share with you shortly. Socially connected communities. Let's move yoga in a green space. Oh, lovely. Yoga, running, life-size board games. Oh, I thought those looked so fun. Yeah. Oh, they're ready.gov. Thank you, Kelly. Oh, expecting tornadoes later today. What weather safety social media toolkit. Um, that's great. There's so much in these resources. I hope you're enthusiastic about finding, it's like bringing the best out of everyone's brain and having a wonderful set of resources to draw on. The Chronic Disease Toolkit from Rural Health Literacy. I think that I really like that there's a dedicated resource for rural health libraries because the challenges are just different. Okay. More likely to pick up information if they know that it's only available for a month. Although really it's available anytime. Sarah, that's such a great observation, right? Like if you can do it at any time, you do it at no time. Or at least that's how I often am. So, okay. Yeah, looking ahead. That's right, Mahogany. Okay, I'm going to move along a little bit, but hopefully now you have sort of an audience and a need and an idea in mind. And then you want to begin to think about who might you be able to partner with to really enable or enhance the outreach of the programming activity. So partners may have the expertise that you need, or they might have the audience experience, the materials, or other resources that your program will really need for success. So one effective way to do health programming is to partner with a local organization who needs a location or a space and has goals that align with yours. So sometimes they reach a bigger population by coming into the library. Couple ideas for partnerships to consider. Your local government or public health offices. I know some of you mentioned that at the beginning. The library of your community college or university. If that's where you are, then partnering with your local public library. Healthcare providers, food banks, agricultural nonprofits, SNAP educators, cooperative extensions. I think someone mentioned those. Might do programs on things like food safety, nutrition, mental health, aging, and more. Have any of you worked with your extension office? I'm always impressed by sort of the variety of things that they have to offer. And any other potential partners that you would add to this list for health programming? I really would love for you to share your ideas in the chat so that we can all sort of benefit. Who are all these potential partners that we should be thinking about here? Yeah, Jade, our extension office does monthly gardening programs and they're so good. My local library has tree talks. I love that. Medical centers and hospitals, absolutely energy efficiency programs, public health office, STEM summer activities with your extension office. Yeah. Any other partners? Mutual aid organizations and harm reduction organizations. Senior citizen centers will provide participants, so connecting with them when you're thinking about sharing the events that you have. Local theater company for mental health. Oh, wow. Social service organizations. Kelly, that's really interesting. Okay. So I'm going to share a couple more examples. So at the Brooklyn Public Central Library, the young adult librarian Rakisha Kearns White noticed a need in her community, many people experiencing period poverty, which in 2021, 23% of young people in America struggled to afford period products, and 16% of students said that they had to choose between buying pads and buying food. So many people are impacted by this, and their library partnered with a nonprofit called the Cycle Alliance to start up a period pantry that provides products and is surrounded by educational materials and information about reproductive health. So that's what theirs looks like here. So another example for you where a community need was identified and a library developed a project, found partners and funding to meet those needs. And I'm going to play this video here. It's about 3 minutes long.
In Pottsboro, Texas, a rural community 90 miles north of Dallas, people have to travel to get to the doctor, and that's difficult for a lot of people here, and it's time consuming. There's no public transportation, nor is there any ride sharing available. So we stayed open throughout the pandemic so people could come here because people didn't have computers or internet subscriptions at home. Then we started getting a couple calls from people who wanted to have doctor's appointments. Libraries are perfectly positioned to work with telehealth because we're oftentimes the fastest internet connection in town. People trust librarians. It's a neutral space. We're accustomed to helping people with digital literacy skills. So it all came together to request funding to start a virtual health room here.
The original proposal that they pitched was to create a pilot telehealth site that would allow them to figure out best practices that they could distribute as a model to other libraries or other community organizations that are looking to do the same thing. And in that respect, it has been a resounding success. A crucial partner in this was also HSC Health, which is sort of the clinical support that they got for managing schedules, for setting up appointments with providers.
So as it stands right now, there are 77 counties that don't have a hospital. Telemedicine can be a real solution to a lot of these problems if we have both the equipment, and then you have to have someone special there to help lead the way and to acknowledge that it's actually safe.
NNLM made it possible for us to convert this old storage room filled with old books into a virtual health room, a room where people can come in, connect with healthcare providers, get the care they need closer to home. It's leading to people being healthier.
During COVID, I did not want to go sit in a doctor's office and expose myself to bigger things when I just had a minor health issue. So this made it where my safety came first, and it was private, easy, convenient. That's why I chose it.
It's a great model, and in fact we've created a playbook because this is not about secret sauce. This is about let's make our communities healthier. Here's what we learned from this experience, and here's what we wish we had done a little bit differently. How fabulous would it be if all rural communities had this kind of access? Healthy people become healthy communities.
Whenever Pottsboro, Texas is on national news, I know we've done something worthwhile. And I am proud of being the first pioneer to do this, to be able to help other libraries across the country make this happen. And it's a reality now that would not have happened without NNLM.
Well, Stubble played it for you. Well, tell me, what did you think about this video? What did you like or find interesting about Pottsboro's work to have a telehealth room? That's a great service. I wish we had a room. Yeah, very innovative. I love that they say it's not about secret sauce. Like they identified a need and made it happen with funding. And I just find it so inspiring for meeting people where they are, a need for many rural communities. And isn't your mind just blown by the fact that there's 77 counties in Texas with no hospital? I think it's really neat, and that the partnerships are actually what made this possible. The hospital couldn't have done it alone, and the library couldn't have done it alone, and NLM provided a little bit of funding. So those partnerships made it all come together. I think it's really encouraging. Oh, we're determined to play it again. So after you've got your sort of community health statistics, you have some evidence of a need, you've thought about your ideas and your partners, it's time to sort of fill in fill in the details to help your idea be realized. I'm going to share 2 ideas for formulating your plan, and then you can choose which best aligns with your organization. And you're not going to plan a whole program in 4 minutes, but hopefully it's going to give you sort of an idea of how to start filling in those details. So the first is this 7 key questions. So to help you think through the development of your activity, there are these 7 questions that you can ask yourselves. They're a multifaceted question, but they're going to help you recognize what pieces you have in place and where you're going to need to fill in the gaps. So think about who's your primary audience? Who in your organization can assist in the planning and the program? Who in your community might be an expert or know an expert? Who are the potential partners for your outreach? What type of outreach do you wish to provide? Will you provide information? Will you offer a program? What are the community health needs? What resources are available from the National Library of Medicine or other agencies for you to use? When? When will you offer your program? When should you schedule it so that your audience and your staff are available? Is it a one-time event? Should it coincide with a health awareness month? Is it ongoing? Where will the program be held? Do you have the space? Is it a kit to take home? Could it be outreach to a senior center or a school? Is the space that you have accessible to the participants? Why do you want to offer this? Why is it going to benefit your library, your organization's community? How will you market the program? Are there specific locations where your ideal audience frequents? How much? And this question involves looking at how much time you and other staff have to invest in the activity and how much money it will cost. That is a lot. I'm going to share one more planning tool and then give you some time to kind of work through some of these questions. So if you need buy-in from funders or others, one way to explain your program activity is through the use of a logic model. If you've heard of a logic model, it usually invokes some sort of feelings. But a logic model is a visual representation of a program that illustrates how your planned activities are linked to the program results. So a well-constructed logic model can make it easier to plan outreach programs by helping you determine the resources and activities you need. So as complicated as they may sound, they actually can be pretty easy to use and helpful to get from program idea to evaluation. Amy. At the very top is the goal of your program or activity, and then you think of the inputs as the resources that will be used to support the activity or the program you wish to conduct. The activities are the main things the project will do or provide. The outcomes, how many and what sort of observable, tangible results will be achieved. Short-term focuses on what will occur as a direct result of the activity, such as changes in knowledge or skills or attitudes. You may also fill in assumptions about the beliefs or the environment and the community. External factors can include the positive and negative influences, the culture, the economics, the politics, demographics of the community, and I think both of those should be sort of confirmed before implementing the program. So this template shows the types of things that you might include in each area. So your inputs include things like time, money, equipment. Activities, what will you do? Print bookmarks, provide a class, hold a blood pressure screening, and your outputs might be that people have increased knowledge about evaluating health websites and that they then help their family members separate reliable information from questionable, or that they know their numbers. Logic models don't have to be daunting. This is a very simplified example for a children's story time from the Library Research Service. You can think of them a bit like if-then statements. If we do the things or have the things on the inputs activities side, then we predict that the outcome side will happen. And so sometimes it's easier to work backwards. This is the outcome we desire. And so to get to that outcome, we're going to do these things and have these inputs. So if this way of planning appeals to you, there are many, many resources on developing logic models that can be helpful. So again, this is the choose your own adventure here. You're going to use either the 7 questions or the logic model from your class handout and begin sort of filling in some of the key pieces that you know or the things that you would need to find out. Again, I'm going to give about 4 minutes of quiet and we'll come back and let me know your thoughts on the model you used. So silence again. We'll see you in a few minutes. Okay, I'm bringing my audio back here. Um, and invite your comments in the chat. Did you use the 7 questions or the logic model? What did you think of the method that you chose? I can actually imagine using both, like the 7 questions for idea development, and then putting it all together in the logic model, um, or explaining it to someone else. Yeah, Lori, 7 questions, the logic model scares me. The questions are easier to answer. Yeah, logic models. Yeah, Cresco Public Library. I agree. I sort of, want to organize my thoughts first, and then the logic model, like Elizabeth, you said, it cuts to the chase more easily, which I think is good for sharing with others. So I can imagine um, sort of using the two together. Um, yeah, questions are easier for you to answer. But it kind of makes you realize how many different pieces there are. I do like the logic model because it helps sort of keep your focus on like what's the outcome? What are we really trying to do here? And sometimes, you know, when you're planning a project yourself or other people like to just keep adding things on. And when you have the logic model in front of you, you could say, that's a great idea, but it's not related to this outcome. Let's save this for later. So I see benefits for both. Yeah. Yeah, Meg, exactly. It's the interview questions, right? It's like you're interviewing yourself. How are we really going to do this? Okay. I'm gonna move on to a little bit of marketing. Now that your activity is kind of coming into focus, we're gonna touch briefly on how you'll get it to the folks that you want to reach, but this is not a marketing class. It's just a little touch on this. Share in the chat box. This is great to crowdsource. Like what works best in your area? Like each area is going to have something different that you know works well, whether it's a flyer in the grocery store, an ad in the um, at the front of the library, is it on your website, is it your social media? Like what has worked well in your area? Social media, email blast, e-newsletter. Yeah. Yeah, there's word of mouth. Yeah. I love a personal invitation. One of one of the librarians at my public library is really good at that. She's like, "Are you coming to this thing later this month? Are you signing up for our summer reading program?" And it like that moves me to action more than anything else. Outreach with organizations, flyers, yeah, near holds, pickup, sharing with volunteers and friends, yeah. A couple brief notes here. Thinking about what agencies in the community does your intended audience frequent? Is it the rec center? Is it the senior center? Is it the schools? I love that our school district sends the library newsletter to us. It can sometimes be a process of trial and error to determine what's going to work best in your particular community. You've got the flyers or signage on bulletin board, windows in local businesses, as someone's mentioning here. Um, Putting it in the church bulletins is pretty good if that's what works in your community. Website calendars, press releases, news feeds, social media. Yeah. Um, and you don't have to restrict yourself to the walls of your library. You can have bookmarks in local health clinics, flyers about upcoming lecture series or database searching at grocery stores, hair and nail salons, child care centers, the community and faith-based organizations of your neighborhoods. And the power of word of mouth and a personal invitation. There are 2 resources listed here, the Public Library Association's Marketing Strategies page and the ACRL Library Marketing Outreach Guide that you might want to explore. Also, some of the sources that we listed earlier, like the Programming Librarian, include the marketing ideas with them. Here are a few pre-made things. The library's Transform initiative was launched back in 2015, which I just cannot believe was 10 years ago, but focused on increasing the public awareness of libraries and the critical role that they play in transforming lives and communities through education. The project itself has been retired, but I still mention this because many assets from the initiative are still available on the I Love Libraries website, including graphics, key messages, and activity suggestions. And NLM also partnered with ALA for the library's Transform Health Literacy Toolkit. And so there are a wide array of health literacy topics that are covered, including nutrition, aging, chronic illness, a number of resources in the toolkit that will speak to the different types of health and other outreach that you do in your library or community agent. So it's both a resource for promotional activities and promotional graphics and activities. So even though the project's retired, I still think there are some great resources there. And these are some of our favorites. Creating programs from scratch can be a lot of work and worthwhile, but sometimes having a jump start is just what you need to get going. So I'm going to share a couple resources from the National Library of Medicine and NNLM that can help you with a little head start into programming. One is the National Library of Medicine Traveling Exhibitions Program, which are free of charge to public, university, and medical libraries, as well as cultural centers. Feel free to let me know in the chat if you've ever hosted or seen one of these on display. The traveling exhibit is about 6 freestanding banners which have information on their topic, but there's also a paired online exhibit. So these banners are a way to, an opportunity to create related programming or highlight your services. And NLM has programming on, or resources on programming around these exhibits. The one that you see here is called For All the People, A Century of Citizen Action and Healthcare Reform, and is also available in Spanish. And there are a lot of online resources connected to these exhibits, including multidisciplinary educational and career resources for educators and students in grades K through 12, colleges and universities. Some include lesson plans for multiple disciplines from history to science. There is a shipping fee for the actual banners, but your regional medical library may have funding available to support that shipping. This is an example from the traveling exhibit called Graphic Medicine, Ill-Conceived and Well-Drawn. It's about the use of comics and graphic novels as a form of communication and health, and features El Defo and several other graphic novels focused around health narratives. And so sort of thinking about how you use these, the University of Pittsburgh Health Sciences Library had the exhibit, but then they also featured books and a drawing competition, and then invited a biologist and cartoonist for a Lunch and Learn presentation. Yeah, El Defo was the first graphic novel. Yeah, actually I read it with my daughter. I thought it was great. Some of the exhibits focus on health professions and others on current or historical health issues. So this screenshot is from Surviving and Thriving, AIDS, Politics, and Culture, also available in Spanish. And so even if the banners are not available to you, you can still use the online exhibits or the materials from the online exhibits. So see the full list at a link on your handout as ways to sort of start some programming. NNLM also partners with a variety of organizations to offer projects and programs and resources for libraries. Raise your hand or let me know in the chat if you've ever heard of StoryCorps. StoryCorps has been around since 2003 and has given over 600,000 people of all, thank you for the thumbs up there, all backgrounds and beliefs the chance to record interviews about their lives and record them in the Library of Congress. And so All Our Voices, Conversations about Health and Wellness, is a toolkit for libraries and community-centered storytelling. The toolkit includes programming tools, materials, and more to support listening, sharing, and recording stories at the library. So that's one sort of ready-to-go program that you might use in your community. Citizen science or community science is participation by the public to aid real scientific research and discovery. And NLM has resources on programming with a group called SciStarter, an organization focused on advancing engagement from the public in research. And SciStarter has a directory of boxes covering right of my slide.
Yeah, I just noticed there's this cross-hatched box. Do you have chat on top or
Yeah, let's see. Is that any better?
is anybody else seeing the box?
I don't want to cover it
Yeah,
up for
it's on
him.
my second computer too, but yeah,
Oh, I'm so sorry.
it just appeared, so.
Okay. All right. I'm going to see if it's there on the next slide. You'll let me know. I'm sorry, folks. But I'll mention that SciStarter has a lot of projects that members of the public can contribute to, like bird and insect counts, light pollution, animal behavior, studies, research on Alzheimer's disease. And so you can use those programs. I wonder, so it's showing like thumbs up. It's showing in the bottom right corner of my screen, and I wonder if it's just hatched out for you. Might be it. April is Citizen Science Month, and librarians, scientists, facilitators, citizen science project leaders, and many others host events and programs that engage people in real science that matters to them. And then finally, we have done Cite and NLM Wikipedia edit-a-thons. We know that Wikipedia is the starting point and sometimes the ending point for information for a lot of people on all kinds of topics, including health. Wikipedia's health topics pages are visited over 7 billion times a year, possibly making it the world's most popular health information resource. And so a Cite NLM is the objective of that is to improve the credibility of the content of medical and health-related articles on Wikipedia by adding citations from the National Library of Medicine. And we host those events, but you can also host them in your community, even virtually. So these types of events can build community, teach digital and health literacy evaluation skills, and amplify stories. Okay. We also have the Reading Club. NNLM has developed an online toolkit to help busy library staff host the popular and familiar library program, the Reading Club. For NNLM, it's a curated list of health-themed books from a variety of genres to facilitate conversations on health and wellness topics. Can be a surprisingly wonderful environment and setting for people to learn about health information, reduce stigma around some of the diseases or health conditions. We've touched a number of topics from menopause to diabetes, caregiving, environmental health. The March NNLM Reading Club is on elder care. And so each of the topic pages for our reading club have resources, videos, and fact sheets for the topic, as well as a discussion guide to download and a social media toolkit to make it easy for you to host a discussion. The book suggestions include fiction, memoirs, graphic novels, young adult novels, poetry, and short stories. And this is it covers over 40 different topics and 130 titles, and is really, if you already host book clubs in your library, this is an easy way to connect to health topics. And NLM also has a variety of resources to help design and implement health programs and resources in your library. We have free bookmarks and other materials. We have curated collections that feature tools and programs and information materials. The Public Libraries Resource Guide is focused on health information needs in libraries, including programming and collections information. So that might be one to highlight there. Also have things like a community engagement resource guide and mental health information community partnerships toolkit. Okay, just very briefly on how to partner with NNLM to design and implement health programs and resources in your library. NNLM has funding for projects that improve access to health information, increase engagement with research and data, and expand outreach and awareness of NLM resources in local communities. So if you are not already acquainted with your regional medical library, I really recommend getting acquainted with yours for all of the resources that they can connect you with. One of the first things that you can do if you're not already is to become an organizational member. And any organizational member that supports health information resources and services to their community can become an NNLM member for free. Members have access to funding, training, partnership opportunities, materials, exhibitions, and institutional recognition as a network member. Many of the projects that we highlighted earlier have received some form of funding from NNLM, which again, you can access as an NNLM organizational member. And each region offers funding for various amounts, timelines, and topics. If you have just a kernel of an idea and you'd like feedback, you can always reach out to your RML to get funding, a consultation on how you might turn that idea into a funded proposal. And then we have lots of resources for those new to applying for funding. And they really support the grant writing process in general, but there's a proposal writing toolkit with lots of guidance. If what you need to make your idea happen is some money, this is one way to start down that path. So congratulations, this class earns 1.5 credits toward the Consumer Health Information Specialization Program of the Medical Library Association that can help you gain skills in areas such as understanding your community, finding and evaluating health information resources, and improving health literacy. So one thing that stops a lot of library staff from providing health information outreach is feeling like they don't know the resources or how to respond to health questions. And so working on your CHIS can help you with these skills and then provide recognition for them. Throughout the year, we also offer a lot of free trainings in a variety of formats, including on-demand and recorded webinars, so you can take our classes at your convenience, and they are always free. There is an application fee through MLA for the CHIS specialization, but NNLM can often reimburse you the cost of that too. So getting this specialization on your own or with a group at your library can be a way to boost health information offerings in your community, and something that your library can promote as another service to your community. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed learning more about health information and programming for your community with others here today. When we take a class, we get a lot of ideas and it can be a bit overwhelming and then get shelved quickly. So I would like to invite you to reflect briefly and jot down what 3 things sort of stood out to you and what's your next step in health programming. I'm going to provide 2 minutes of quiet to sort of consolidate your thoughts and your plans, and then invite you to share if you feel like doing so. All right, I'll turn my audio back on. There are a couple thoughts already in the chat, but please feel free to add more. Do think about what's that next step that you're going to take. Do you want to find somebody to bounce ideas around with? Do you want to explore more data about your community? Did you find a resource today that you want to dive into deeper to help you plan? What's next for you? Yeah, thanks, Elizabeth. Amy, plan. Yeah, the number of resources is kind of overwhelming. So, yep, turning those ideas into reality. It really, if you have someone a colleague that you enjoy bouncing ideas around with, or who's really good at helping you take that next step to go from idea to reality, I think those are wonderful people to connect with. Programming partners, yeah. Better programming, explore the health needs, talk with my hospital librarian. Let's Move in Libraries. I love that they have so many great resources. I could go on and on today. There's so much good stuff here. As you know, as community advocates, nurses, teachers, librarians are all trusted among the public with their families and their social circles. And so I invite you to follow NNLM or NLM social media to help you stay current with resources and learning opportunities and to connect people to accurate health information. Learn more about what the strengths and barriers of your community looks like, and that health access looks different for everyone. There's a lot of different people entering our libraries, and learning about them is a crucial way to help engage meaningfully and kindly. So this is my photo of a flower of a cannonball tree with a flower so carefully formed to aid in the spreading of pollen. And hopefully, just as this bee has picked up a bit of pollen that can help new trees grow, you've also picked up a few new ideas for health programming and outreach and the confidence to cultivate them. Start small or go for the big, bold idea, but the actions you take will impact the health of your community. I invite you to reach out to me if you have any questions, and I'll stay here and open up the floor for questions or give you a few minutes here to complete that evaluation. Thank you for attending today. I really appreciate having you along.
Thanks for watching. This video was produced by the network of the National Library of Medicine. Select the circular channel icon to subscribe to our channel, or select a video thumbnail to watch another video from the channel.